Sprinting, we're back. Another video. This one I consulted the boss on, Johnny. He told me to make a video about this because I couldn't think of what to make a video of. So I was gonna do something that's relevant to him and I's life right now, sprinting. Okay, we just added it back into our programs, and this is why you should too. Okay, most guys, they haven't sprinted for since like maybe high school sports, maybe a little bit after that. You know, Hopefully that's going to change today. All right, this is why sprinting is back and why you should be doing it. My face is going to be in the way like most of this time, so just try and ignore it. All right, at least I'm handsome. Anyways, most guys stop sprinting the day they graduated high school. Okay, or maybe it was the last time you played a sport, which, like I said, maybe I was in college or whatever. Or maybe it was the last time somebody actually made you run. Either way, at some point, it disappeared from your training completely. And I get it. All right. Nobody programs it nowadays. Nobody really talks about it. You just go to the gym, you lift, you maybe do some cardio, go on a run or a walk, and you go home, right? Sprinting is really not a big part of the conversation anymore. Um, but here's the thing, okay? Me and Johnny, we just added it back into our program 2 or 3 times a week. And we're programming it for some of our clients as well. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Okay. Sprinting isn't just for athletes, right? This is for any guy who wants to look better, move better, and actually feel like an athlete again. Okay. Because there's a huge difference between being fit and being athletic. And most guys in the gym right now are only one of those two things, right? They're either trying to be a bodybuilder or they're just running occasionally, right? Charge my computer plug-in. So what sprinting actually is that most people forget. I'm gonna be in the way, just kind of ignore it. Anyways, I think a lot of people, you guys have forgotten what sprinting is, right? It's the ultimate plyometric. Okay. And when I say that, I mean that there's literally no other movement where you can intentionally produce that amount of force. Not one. Okay. The nature of sprint is max effort, right? So you're not pacing yourself, you're not saving anything for the next set. You're going all out as fast as far as hard as your body is going to allow you, right? And what that really means is that every single muscle fiber is being recruited at the same time, okay? So this is a completely different stimulus than anything else that you're doing in the gym. And compared to, jogging, a jog is comfortable, right? It's aerobic. It's your body just kind of cruising, right? A sprint is completely different. And, like I said, most guys haven't used it since they played sports. And that's the problem, right? Most guys haven't trained at true max effort in years, and you can kind of tell. Like when you first get back into sprinting, you're gonna feel it, right? You're gonna be pretty sore the next day. I hope you guys like the the picture here. I thought it was funny, so I kept it in. Um, the first benefit of sprinting, all right, glute and hamstring development. So we're gonna get into the actual benefits of sprinting. Johnny gave me a list of everything to go over, so I hope I cover it all. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, um, Johnny, my twin brother, who I run my business with, hopefully you should know that about him by now. He's the brains behind everything. I'm like the face. I do a lot of the social media and the marketing and the business side of things. Um, so he's really knowledgeable on this stuff. I'm not saying I'm completely lacking knowledge on this stuff. I still know about it, but I get most of my information from him. So, anyways, let's get into the benefits, right? And the first one, this is probably going to get most of you guys' attention, but sprinting is arguably the best posterior chain builder outside of deadlifts. So the amount of force production that happens through hip extension when you're sprinting is unmatched by almost anything else that you can do. Okay, so your glutes and your hamstrings are doing majority of the work, and they're doing it under load, at speed, at max effort. So a lot of guys, myself included, sometimes have underdeveloped glutes and hamstrings, right? And that's kind of just the reality. That's how everybody trains nowadays, because they're not really like the showcase muscles. That's not the right word. There's no right word for it, but they're not the good looking muscles, right? Most girls aren't looking at our hamstrings and our butts. Sometimes they are, but for the most part, they're not. And that's just the reality. Okay. Too much sitting. It also has to do with, our lifestyle nowadays, right? A lot of sitting, a lot of quad dominant trading, and not enough posterior chain work, right? Sprinting directly fixes that. And to be honest with you, it also makes your legs look pretty jacked. All right. And that's not a bad thing at all, right? You're not going to get the same stimulus from leg press. You're not going to get it from hamstring curls. There's just something about how sprinting develops your posterior chain that is just different from anything else. Okay. So the next benefit is power development. So this one is huge, right? Especially if you're an endurance athlete or somebody who only lifts. Power, we're going to get some math in here, right? Power is force times velocity. And what's interesting is that most training, whether it's lifting or cardio, only trains one side of that equation at a time. Okay. When you're lifting heavy, you're producing force, but you're moving pretty slow. And that's intentional, right? That's how you build strength, but it's going to leave a gap over time. And sprinting is going to fill that gap, because when you sprint and you're producing force and moving at a maximum velocity at the same time, that combination is going to build true power. Okay. And that power carries over to like every aspect of your life. Your lifting numbers are going to improve. Your cycling performance is going to improve if you're a cyclist. If you play sports, it's going to carry over there, obviously. Even just in daily life, the way you move, the way you feel, it changes. And if you only ever train slow, you're only ever going to be slow, right? So sprinting, again, how you fix that. Third benefit, all right, cardiovascular and athletic development. This one is specifically for my endurance athletes watching this, okay? Sprinting is high intensity interval training, right? HIIT. Everybody talks about HIIT training. This is like the purest form, okay? The cardiovascular stimulus that you get from a proper sprint session is significant in a very short amount of time, okay? And more importantly, sprinting works in your anaerobic system. So that means anaerobic is without oxygen, aerobic is with oxygen, right? Most endurance athletes completely neglect their anaerobic system. You spend too much time in zone 2 building that aerobic base, and you forget that you have a whole another gear, right? It's like your race day gear. And that causes a problem because it creates imbalance for you guys, and you're aerobically fit but anaerobically undertrained. And that's going to show up, like I said, on race day. It's going to show up in your lifting. It's going to show up in how you move. And once again, sprinting fixes this imbalance and makes you a more complete athlete, not just fit in one gear, but athletic across multiple energy systems. Okay. And this is why people do sprints on the bike as well, right? Really high intensity stuff. Because it builds that anaerobic capacity. Okay. Why most guys stopped. I think this is worth talking about because I stopped sprinting for a while. Pretty much everybody did, unless you're like a high level athlete, right? So that's the main reason, right? They stopped being athletes, so they stopped training like one. When you're playing sports, somebody is making you sprint, someone is making you run routes, run bases, chase a ball. The speed work is built into your training, right? And when that goes away, nothing really replaces it. And cardio becomes 45 minutes on a treadmill at 3.5 miles an hour, right? Which is fine. That has its place in training, obviously, as everything does, but it's not the same, right? It's not even close. So the only reason that nobody programs it, if it's not in your plan, you're not going to do it. That's human nature, right? And most generic programs that you're going to find online, or just something that you wrote yourself or had ChatGPT write you, it doesn't include sprint work, right? And also, lastly, there is a fear factor behind sprinting, right? The fear of getting hurt, the fear of looking dumb, and you might not be fast, you might look awkward, whatever. Get over it. The benefits are worth it. And honestly, like I go do sprints in the grass in a field or like on a nearby track. I'm not going to do that in the gym. Not enough room typically and too many people. So that's valid. All right. But the result of all of this is guys who look fit but move like they're 60, like most bodybuilders, right? And that's not what we're trying to build here. Okay. So this is how sprinting really fills into my training and my actual split. So this is the practical side of things, okay? Right now, sprinting shows up twice a week, and it's not random. All right. Johnny built our program with purpose. We're calling it the Summer of Speed. All right. So we have lots of workouts like that, and then one like beach body day where we kind of just go get a pump, work the what's the word I'm looking for? Work the aesthetic muscles, whatever. So on Monday we do 40s, right? 3 sets of 40s, 3 sets of 40 yards. Straight speed, max effort, pretty, solid rest between every single rep. It's not for conditioning, right? It's just pure speed work. You go as fast as you can, you rest, and you go again. It's a lot of fun. And then on Fridays, we do 5-10-5 sprints, which is a completely different stimulus. This is change of direction work, lateral power, deceleration, reacceleration. That's where most people get hurt if they're weak and undertrained, by the way. So, watch out with that. The deceleration, it's where a lot of guys get hurt, those ligaments and whatnot. So learning to stop and change direction at speed is a skill, and it's a massive athletic quality. And I'm sure a lot of you guys did it if you were playing high school sports, whether it was football or soccer or tennis or any of that sort of stuff, right? And then on Wednesday, we also have flying 40s, which is just more sprinting, and then linear bounds as well. So speed and power is kind of the theme that runs through our entire week. And it's not just one session, but it's built into the structure, right? Every session has a purpose. Nothing in this program is just to be there, right? So this, how you add sprinting if you haven't done it in years, okay? So if you're still watching this and you haven't sprinted since high school or longer, here's exactly how you can do it without hurting yourself, okay? Start short. Don't go out there and run 40 yards at full speed with no buildup, right? Start at 20, 30 yards and get your body used to the movement pattern before you extend the distance, okay? Second, warm up properly, okay? Non-negotiable, leg swings, hip circles, A-skips, build-up runs at 50 to 70% effort before you ever even try going full speed, okay? You're going to pull a hamstring, you're going to hurt yourself. Your hamstrings are going to thank you, right? Skipping the warm-up is how you're going to be couch ridden and ruin all your progress for the next month, right? And third, rest between your reps. Okay, I want to be pretty clear about this. It's not a conditioning circuit. You're not trying to get your heart rate up and keep it there. You're training speed and power once again. Okay, rest 60 to 90 seconds minimum between every rep. And if you're gassed before you start the next one, you're doing it wrong. So take it easy, right? Start with 3 to 4 reps. That's all you need. Quality over quantity every single time, all right? A sloppy, tired sprint is how you're going to pull a hamstring. Fresh, fast, and focused, all right? Fifth, flat sprints first, okay? Master straight line speed before you add any sort of change of direction work. Get comfortable with movement before you start cutting and turning at full speed. And progress over time, all right? Add reps before you add distance. Let your body adapt before you push the volume. Pretty basic. So who needs this the most? Honestly, specifically, who should be sprinting right now? In my and Johnny's opinion, we have our endurance athletes, all right? If this is you, you're a runner, a cyclist, a triathlete, you're neglecting your fast twitch muscle fibers almost entirely, okay? Your training is mainly aerobic dominant, like I talked about earlier, and sprinting is going to bring back those fast twitch developments and make you a more complete athlete, okay? It's also going to directly improve your race performance in ways that zone 2 work simply won't, all right? Guys who only lift, my bodybuilders, you have no power development, all right? You're strong and you're slow. You might look good, but there's a gap, and sprinting fills that gap. It adds athleticism to your training, and the gym alone just simply cannot give that to you. My ex-athletes, all right? You had this quality once before and you lost it, right? You used to be fast, you used to be powerful, you used to move well, and this is exactly how you get that back. It's not too late, all right? And it comes back faster than you think, I promise. And quite honestly, anyone who wants to look and move more athletic, not just gym built, like real athleticism, there's a difference and people can see it, all right? And obviously, probably the most important part about sprinting is it's just fun, right? It's genuinely fun, and there's something about running as fast as you possibly can that just wakes something up inside of you. It's like your primal instinct, right? Something competitive, something primal. You know, even when you're alone, you're racing yourself, trying to beat your lost time, trying to feel faster than you did last week, trying to perfect your form, yada yada yada. All right. Also, it gets you outside. It gets you off the treadmill. It gets you off the bike. It gets you out of the gym. You get to move like an athlete in an open space, and there's just something about it that just feels so good. All right. A lot of training nowadays almost feels like work, and it is work, right? But sprinting, even when it's hard, it feels like being a kid again. And I think that matters more than people give it credit for, because if you actually enjoy something, you're going to actually do it, right? And consistency is the most important part. That's the case for sprinting, all right? And I hope you can see why we're not just throwing it in our programming randomly, right? Every piece of what Johnny programs has a reason behind it. Every session, every exercise, every rep, there's a why. Okay, that's the difference between working with a random jacked dude online and an actual coach who knows what they're doing. Okay, and if you want a program built with that kind of intentionality, where nothing is guesswork, everything is working towards a specific goal, that's exactly what we do at Adnet Performance. So drop any comments in the questions. Drop any questions in the comments. I read all of them. Follow me on Instagram. It's going to be linked in the bio, in the description. I post daily content on training, nutrition, mindset, lifestyle, everything. All right. And if you're ready to stop guessing and actually build something, my calendar link is in the description. You can book a free call. It only takes about a minute, and we can figure out exactly what you need. Okay. Let's get it. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this was helpful. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time.